Hey guys, what's going on? It's good to see you. It's good to be seen by you. How are you this evening? I, of course, am the one and, as far as science knows, only Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver. Welcome to the show, and I hope you're having a pretty good Wednesday evening. Now, you might notice that there's no Kyle, that there's no other folks hanging around. Kyle pinged me this morning and said he had stuff going on today. I was actually out on the coast, and it might surprise some of you who don't live in Florida to know we don't all live on the beach or in a golf community that surrounds Disney. We actually, the state is pretty broad. I mean, it's kind of like if you get up into the northern plains of the state, you get into an area that's almost Iowa-like in terms of very gently rolling ground and just open grassy plains as far as the eye can see. It's not all beaches here. But it is quite lovely. So yes, I went out to the coast today, had a little bit of business out there, and it took me essentially the whole day. And so I didn't roll in until much later. So today not being a gaming day was kind of a fait accompli. But thank you everyone for holding out for a show later this evening that will involve there's actually a V at the end of that, some tabletop role-playing game stuff. But anyway, before I get into that, of course, regardless of what we do here, guys, regardless of what we do, this live stream is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Hellebarde makes the kind of adventures that they'd like to play, whether it's for Castles and Crusades, 5th edition, or the OSR. Old School is in play at the table with Hellebarde, and you can find them on DriveThruRPG or on their website, HellebardeGames.com. We do love us some Hellebarde games. So, anyway, tomorrow, I know it's like we haven't even gotten in the show, and I'm already talking about tomorrow's show, but I just want to let you guys know, Brave Alice Games, Aggie from Brave Alice is going to be here. We're going to have a drawing on the show. He's going to pick one of you fun folks out of the audience to receive a special gift. And I'm pretty excited about that because it's some rather cool stuff he's going to share with us tomorrow. I'm going to have it here keyed up on my PC, and we're going to do all kind of fun things. So that's all coming tomorrow. And of course, Friday, I hope Gamma World Friday we'll have to see. Keep your fingers crossed, knock on press board, all that jazz mataz. Next week will be much the same, but our guest next week is the one and only Jack Photon. That's right. You see him out there in the audience. I see you guys looking like, that's right. He's famous. So get his autograph now. Get it now. So Jack will be here next Thursday, and next week is all normal, the samey same. The following week is Thanksgiving. Maybe a light week. Maybe a lightweight week next week. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how things do. Not next week, but Thanksgiving week. I might just kick back and just couple of BS streams, and then we all just go off and enjoy turkey. There won't be a Thursday live stream at any rate, so you can rest assured of that. Yes, that's right, Jack. You'll be here. So yeah, that's all happening. And speaking of things that are happening, you guys, I want to get that infuriating thing off. Let's see. Let me find this. Where is it? Ladies and gentlemen, as of 9:05 Eastern Standard Time, we are at 5,045 subscribers on this here channel, and that is a miracle. And miracles is how it ought to be. Can you dig it? 5,045 subscribers, and I am just elated over that little datum. Thank you all so much, because it was like not this, was it this past Sunday? I don't remember, but it was like late last week. I just, hey, we're getting close to 5,000. Could you guys maybe, if anybody out there hasn't subscribed, we were still like 18, 20 shy of 5,000, and just boom. That's the sound effect, by the way, it makes. If you get a YouTube channel and set it up, when you get a bunch of subscribers, it will play that noise. Boom! Or maybe that's just me and I'm delusional. It's probably the second one. But I'm pretty hyped about that. I'm pretty hyped about that. So thank you, everyone who's subscribed. And if you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. Click the subscribe button. Click the bell icon for notifications. If you like this video, whoops, sent something flying there. If you like this video, regardless of whether or not you're subscribed, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below and say, I like it when you knock things off your monitor and send it flying, Bill. That's hilarious. But regardless of how you do, please do consider subscribing. We have a lot of fun. And guess what? We have a Patreon. I keep saying we like I've got a mouse here. Well, I do have some help, of course, Kyle. I can say we. We. Are you in pain, my dear? We. But we do have a Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can support us on Patreon or via YouTube membership. Now, you don't have to do that, but I'm going to tell you something. At the $10 level, the Master Thief level, every month you get a first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons mini adventure module in PDF form. Isn't that cool? If you think so, and you want to support us on Patreon, you can do it right down there. Or you can support us again on YouTube memberships. Just click over here, I think. Or is it over here? Well, wherever it is, you can click there. And you can join us if you want to do that. Speaking of joining and the things that we do, again, nominally this would have been a Let's Play an RPG for you guys night. We've talked about why that's not the case. But I want to apologize. I want to apologize to everyone for last night's session. I strive to make this something that you guys can see and get hyped about, as well as interacting and asking questions. But all games, I want to have an impact. I want things to be real for you guys. Okay? And I mean, me just picking up a die and rolling it on the table and going, oh, a 20, that's good. It would be great if all 5,000 of you were sitting around a gargantuan table playing D&D with me, and you could see the dice, which would be quite a feat with 5,000 of you, but I do go on. But I can't really, I can't really get into that. I want you guys to see the die rolls. And so I've been kind of relying on this DD dice thing, and it's been DD disappointing is what it's been. It's like a moving target on how to get it to work. And if it was something I was screwing up, if it was something here that I was supposed to be doing that wasn't right, and I kept messing it up, like audio, I screw up the audio here all the time. Sometimes the camera battery will die mid-show, whatever. I would be like, oh, crap. Well, that's Marky Pierce, good evening. Hello. Welcome, you UK insomniac. Good morning / evening. It's about, let me see, 9, 12, 1, 2, 3. Good Lord, it's 3 o'clock in the morning where you are, man. I hope you have some strong tea. Tea, Earl Grey, hot. But welcome anyway. But so this DD Dice program, it's 3D dice that show up on the screen. I'd show it to you, but the frickin' thing doesn't work. They had a massive sea change with how everything was. I am subscribed to DD Dice. I got no indication from them on how it was supposed to change. Now, I've been on the bubble as to whether or not I should actually actively back these guys. Like, with funds. And last night was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. With all the weirdness, it works, it doesn't work, it goes down, it's up. And it kind of killed some of the immersion for me as a DM last night. Having to constantly, I want to be looking out there at you guys as much as I can while I interact with my awesome group of players. And now, could it have been something I was doing? Possibly. But I couldn't even get the basic functionality so I could share the screen from DD Dice with you guys so you could see our dice being rolled. I could not make that happen on this end. I'm just glad it didn't die during our Call of Cthulhu campaign. Hey, Meteor Key, welcome, welcome. Good to see you, Mateo York. Welcome. Yes. I hope you are well. Have I done a read along for Gaz 10 the Orcs? No, I have not. A to Z. I have not. Did I immanentize the Eschaton? Oh, that's a good question. And I got to go back to the KLF, which is D&D related. I've told you guys a story. With this killer virus, who needs war? Immanentize the Eschaton. I said shag, shag, shag some more. If you know that, then you're awesome. Loaded up on coffee. That Yankee brew. That's awesome. So anyway, it wasn't working, and it was hugely disappointing to me. And I'm glad I was away from doing creative stuff today. So I've kind of got some time to think and formulate how I really want to talk to these people about this. Because it was exceptionally frustrating to me. It was exceptionally frustrating to me that didn't work. So I apologize to you guys for a less than perfect experience last night watching the AD&D session. But to talk more about the AD&D session, that's not 60s or 70s rock. That's 90s pop music. Early 90s, possibly late 80s. It's pretty obscure. I would not be shocked if Marky got that, but he might not. But let's talk about some good things some good things that have been going on around here lately. Our other sessions have been going fairly well. I'm pretty happy about that. We've been having some good guests. And I've talked about this before, but when we ease into like the back half of December, I'm going to deploy the drag chute and we're going to slow down precipitously. We're going to and just we're going to ease down some. Because I mean, December, that's Christmas, and I'll have a lot of stuff going on. Oh, Marky, very good. Marky got it. He got a piece of it. In football, in American football, the guy tips a pass or a punt or a field goal. They say, you got a piece of it. So you got a piece of it. But anyhow, so yeah, we've had good stuff going on. And this has been giving me an opportunity to really talk to you guys about first edition AD&D. I'm excited about it, and I want to do it some more. Because I felt almost like for a while there, for a good stretch through the summer and everything, I felt like we were kind of becoming more of just a variety show. And we do a variety of things, but I do like to turn my focus to first edition AD&D every so often, you know? That's still what I like to do, what I like to focus on and talk about. And that's what we're going to kind of do tonight. We're going to jump into some AD&D chit-chat tonight. Now, the last time we did this, which was Monday night, we talked about the significance of segments in first edition AD&D. Tonight, at least part of what we're going to cover is going to be, yes, Vaughn, I will run original D&D. If someone asks me, I'll run Moldvay Basic or Holmes Introductory. I'll run 5th edition. It's got good bones. I just have to be allowed to run it the way I want to. But anyway, to get back, as we were talking about things going on and right, content. We talked about on Monday the significance of segments, the importance of segments in the matter of movement, how that segment speed makes all of the difference in the world. In combat, it can mean the difference between a flying creature getting away scot-free and being absolutely wrecked. I mean, just completely clowned on by a party because it didn't have enough movement to get out of there. So we're going to talk some more about segments and in terms of surprise. People tie themselves in knots over surprise because they focus on edge cases. What if a halfling thief with Dex 19 encounters an observer accompanied by a half-elven ranger wearing leather armor? And I'm just like, guys, you are. I'll never talk about it on this show, Jack. That's one thing. Don't worry about that. Because if that comes up in your game, if you've got, I'm sorry, I said an observer, a spectator. a spectator and a half-elven ranger wearing leather armor encounter a halfling thief who's dex 19. How do you adjudicate surprise, DM? Well, neither one of them surprised. 99.9998% of the time, you will not encounter such a weird situation. So I'm here to help you understand surprise. The first thing you need to understand about surprise is if you think you know surprise from the player's handbook, the player's handbook has a printing error that never got fixed, which is probably more of the Bloom's interference and meddling. So let's see. So if you've got your Dungeon Master's Guide handy, and you might want to this time, let's take a look at the DMG. And let's get into this. This is page. What page are we on here? '61. So let's have a gander at it. I'll add this to the screen. All right. The term surprise is basically... So sorry. The term surprise is basically self-explanatory. A surprise party is caught unawares or unprepared. In such circumstances, the non-surprise or less surprised party has an immediate advantage, which is reflected in the granting of one or more segments. Remember, we talked about segments. It is the atomic particle or subatomic particle of time management in first edition AD&D, and it is also important of initiative during which the active, non or less surprised party can take actions. For A through H, wholly or partially, depending on several modifying factors. The surprise segment is 6 seconds. Avoiding, parlaying, awaiting the actions of the surprise, missile discharge, and setting of weapons, typically spears or spearing types of polearms, are possible. Most spells cannot be cast in a single segment, although first-level magic user illusionist spells are usually but 1 segment long, as are some other spells, and these spells are possible to use in a surprise segment. Other longer casting spell times can only be begun in the first segment of surprise. Similarly, the distance separating parties may be too great to close during a single segment, even by charging, and melee, striking, or grappling might not be possible. However, during the surprise segment or segments, the surprised party is unable to react in any way, so the latter actions might be possible. Don't worry about it, Vaughn. It's literally an edge case. But we'll get to that. That I was just saying, don't sweat the edge cases. Surprise is determined by rolling a 6-sided die for each party concerned, modifying the result by using the most favorable member of the party concerned, i.e. a ranger, surprised only on a roll of 1, will represent the whole of a group of other character types. If your ranger is in the party, Vaughn, or if your party is accompanied by a friendly spectator, it's a D8. You will always use that favorable die. And the surprise difference can be vast when you consider these factors, but we'll get to that. Note, however, the effects of dexterity as detailed below. The same holds for mixed types of monsters. So you take your bugbear. If surprise is indicated for both parties, the party which has lesser surprise subtracts its result from the result of the greater to find the number of segments the latter are enacted. Nonetheless, it is possible for both parties to be surprised equally, with surprise thus having no effect. Uh-oh, I rolled a 1 for the party surprise. I rolled a 1 for the monster's surprise. Nobody's surprised. Surprise is usually expressed as a 2 in 6 chance for all parties concerned, i.e. a 6-sided die is rolled with a 1 or 2 indicating surprise. Some monsters are more capable of surprising foes than the normal 2 in 6 in probability, and some cannot be surprised as easily, so they have reduced probability, 1 in 6, 1 in 8, etc. Each one of surprise equals 1 segment, 6 seconds of time lost to the surprised party, and during the lost time, the surprising party can freely act to escape or attack or whatever. If both parties are surprised, then the effect is negated or reduced. And here's the table. This one in the player's handbook is flipped. Yes, but it doesn't matter. The surprise negates, Vaughn. Now, here's something that people trip over. And I hold fast to this. I hold fast to this. If I roll a 1 for the party surprise and a 6 for the monster surprise, that's 5 segments of surprise that the party suffers. For some reason, some people interpret this to mean that the maximum number of segments lost can be 3. That's not the case. That's not the case. I have had people who don't play D&D read this. I have fed this to an AI. Yes, I'm not kidding. I've had people who do play AD&D read this. There is nothing in here to indicate that the surprise dice difference can only be 3 and that the total of lost segments can only be 3 at max. Party rolls a 1, monsters roll a 6. That's 5 segments. Bad stuff can go down for a party under those circumstances. No, Vincent, segments are not the same as combat rounds. A combat round is 1 full minute. A segment is 6 seconds. Now, you do bring up something interesting, though, Vincent, and that is the case of missile fire. For purposes of determining missile fire in surprise, treat segments as rounds. 5 segments of surprise. Character with a short bow. 10 arrows. Before the monsters can react. Dig that. Kathunk, 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 kathunk. Everybody likes to go on about that Hawk Slayer movie with the elf where they just do the crappy stop motion jump cuts of, here's a shot with an arrow. All right, take the arrow out. Now take another 10 seconds of film. Now put an arrow back. Now take another tip. And it looks like it's just choop, 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 choop. That's actually what goes on in AD&D Surprise. So suddenly, a battery of archers accompanying the party, and the party gets total surprise over the monsters. It turns into a scene out of Henry V or Braveheart or Gladiator. Just whoosh. No, it does not, Vincent. No, it does not. This only refers to arrows or spears or sling. If you've got enough separation, you can even fire, cock, and fire a crossbow. Let's say there's that 5-segment separation. Fire, cock, fire, cock, fire. That's 3 crossbow bolts. And if it's a heavy, well, it's not a heavy crossbow, but still that is potentially deadly. Now, Vincent, yes, only missile combat, Vaughn. Now, Vincent, you bring up weapon speeds. You bring up weapon speeds. Let's hop over to the player's handbook real quick. Not sure where we're at, so you guys will just have to bear with me with a little bit of whiplash. I didn't know Vincent was going to ask such a good question. All right, let's zip down here, and let's look at weapon speeds. Now, typically, you're going to have 1 to 2 segments of surprise. But also remember, Vincent, you've got to close that distance. You remember Monday when we talked about segments of movement versus rounds of movement? But let's look at weapon speed factors. Let's say you do have that 5 rounds of surprise, or 5 segments of surprise. Speed factors listed there, 3rd column, well, 4th column, on the page, and we are on page, what page are we on? 40 of the player's handbook. Speed factors are expressed in segments. So, you look at some of these weapons. Let's just go to the player's favorite, the longsword. It's speed factor 3. Let's say for whatever reason you're able to, have surprise and be in a 10-foot striking range at the same time, Vincent. But you've only got a segment of surprise. Can you hit with the longsword? No. Because you've got to wind up with that thing. And that's 18 seconds to do so. That's 18 seconds to do so. The fastest weapon is the open hand. It is a 1-segment weapon. Actually, the fastest melee weapon is the open hand at 1 second. The fastest weapon in the overall is a bow. Any type of bow. Because its speed factor is also 1 segment. But there you go, guys. Now you want to talk about the largest weapon, or not the largest weapon, but the longest time to use a weapon is the all pike. 18 feet long plus 13 is its speed factor. You are only going to hit with that weapon. It's essentially the equivalent of a crossbow. Hit, pick it back up, swing it back down. But surprise is so much easier. It is so much easier. You've got that little halfling thief with the party with Dex 19. His surprise ability spans the entire party. He can yell, "Look out!" before the goblins can leap off of the shelves and cliffs and whatnot onto the party. You don't have him, you're kind of boned. I think it's fairly simple. Road March, good lord, yes, absolutely. Go high thee to Drive Through RPG and get yourself a PHP Monster Manual and Dungeon Master's Guide on Pod, my friend. Vaughn asked about giants with boulders. Treat it as siege engine. Treat it as a siege engine. So if we come over here, back to the Dungeon Master's Guide, I think that's fairly straightforward. That's a lot more straightforward than a lot of people make it out to be. And you can see here, there's more examples, whatnot, but let's see. Construction and siege. So let's see. That's construction. Come on. Come on. So if we treat if we treat giant stone throws as a rate of fire, in terms of surprise, giants only getting one stone thrown every 4 segments. So at most, they're going to get one and then start digging one out again. It's not a speed factor, Vaughn. It's a missile weapon. It has a rate of fire. It's just like arrows or crossbow bolts. It's whatever its standard rate of fire is, and you treat segments as round. Rate of fire of darts is 3. So dig this. Your magic user who's proficient in darts, who gets 5 segments of surprise because he's with the party that did the surprising, 15 darts. If he has them. That could be an entire backpack full of darts. I cast Kill All the Kobolds. Flip, 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 flip. Well, that's what I'm saying, Road March. You get them, get print on demand. Get print on demand. Now, regarding the darts, though, we're not talking. They're not like this. These are not pub darts. A dart in AD&D is a plumbata. It's about that long. They are bad news. So you'll carry those in a quiver on your hip of maybe 10 at most. But yes, the plumbata. Yeah, it's a dart, but bigger. Yeah, it's just like a lawn dart. Yeah, everybody say lawn darts, jarts, lawn darts. No, I think lawn darts and AD&D darts are about the same. If you consider the hit points of the average commoner, which, let's face it, we all are, for the most part, those of us who weren't professional soldiers or were not bodybuilders or whatever, if we consider those, 1d4 hit points, or 1d4 plus 1 hit point, averaging 2, a dart does 1 to 3. How many people have you read about who expired because they were hit by a lawn dart? There you go. Yeah, let me see if I can find a picture of this. I don't want to create a PDF. Let's see. I will show you guys a picture. Can your darts blot out the sun? If you've got a bunch of dart proficient characters and you get that 5 segments of surprise, you damn well better believe it. Just, God, I can't imagine that in AD&D. Just every player character in my 10 group, or my 10 player game on Monday night, magic users, everybody, except the clerics, they can't. But everybody that can takes a dart proficiency and just hauls those things around waiting for that day when 9 players can rain down. What's 9 times 15? That's 90 and 135 darts. That, oh my God, you could annihilate just about anything. So let me see if I can find a good picture here. There's a good one. All right. Oh, good. I asked you to open the picture in the new tab, you ding dong. So this guy's isn't particularly weighted. All right, let's see. Present. That is an AD&D dart. That's what we're talking about when we talk about darts in AD&D. I mean, yeah, he's got them racked on the back of his shield, but they're still as long as his forearm. So yeah, nine players, everybody throws a dart, or everybody throws their maximum rate of fire darts. You figure a third of them hit, averaging 1.5 damage each. Let's have some fun here. So that's 45 of them. That's 67 points of damage. 67 points of damage. I want to put this in perspective. It would be next to impossible to get the drop on Loth. She's a minor goddess. But consider for just a minute, if you could, and if it was that long, and if everybody in the party did this, She'd die. She'd go down under a wave of darts. Never discount the dart. Never discount rolling for surprise. Guys, it is absolutely, positively important that you keep an eye on surprise. Even as a player, and surprise is, even though the chart is busted, surprise is noted in the player's handbook. It's something you as a player can take advantage of. DMs absolutely take advantage of it. Now all of a sudden, those mangy little kobolds are quite the threat because they all have spears. They all have spears. 25 kobolds all throwing spears. Maybe they have 2 apiece. And you're surprised for a couple of segments. And they're just raining spears. That's not even a Tucker's Kobolds moment. That's literally just the party being caught flat-footed. Or short bows. Oh, that's very true. Not affected by normal weapons. Jack, you make a good point. But what if they were all magic darts? I don't want to go too spherical cow on you. Yes, you got that protection from normal missiles. Okay, let's go with, say, a fire giant then, of average hit points. Well, I think by the time your party's creeping around looking for Loth, hitting minus 10 AC is probably not that big of an ask. But anyway, does anyone have any questions now about surprise? Don't ask me what happens when a spectator encounters a bugbear, because I don't care. Only surprised on a 1 on a 1d8, then roll a 1d8. And the bugbear surprises on a 1 to 4 on a d6. It's very simple. Roll a 1d8. Oh, look, you rolled a 1. Okay? He's surprised. Roll a d4 for the bugbear. Oh, the bugbear surprises on a 1 to 4. I'll kill everything with darts. Darts are the ultimate doomsday weapon in AD&D. Prove me wrong. Demi-human level limits in my games. I use them. I do use them. I feel that first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and original Dungeons and Dragons and Moldvay introductory and Moldvay basic and Holmes introductory are all largely humanocentric games. You do your thing in your games. People have asked me about, well, what about Unearthed Arcana? If a player came to me and said, look, I have Unearthed Arcana, I'd like to keep running my Grey Elven magic user up to this level if his intelligence somehow gets boosted to 19 or better, yeah, sure. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Okay, so that's a fine question. Let me see. Let me pull this up. Now, this might have actually gotten fixed in the PDFs. This might have been something that Wizards of the Coast actually did right. But I don't think anyone at Wizards of the Coast cares enough about Dungeons and Dragons to actually have gone back and fixed this. Wizards of the Coast will straight up tell you that they invented D&D in 2014. The D&D was something that they created. So I would be shocked if they've gone back and fixed this in the PDFs. And I could be wrong. I could just be misremembering. It could have actually gotten fixed. Okay, so we have two surprise tables. Oops, I got to add it to the screen. We have two surprise tables here. The surprise dice difference. And let's go over to the player's handbook. And we got to zip all the way to the back because combat stuff in the player's handbook. But one thing you need to know also is that the... hang on a second. Later books supersede earlier books. That was basically how they said, oh, we fixed it. Surprise is on page 102. So let's... Okay, come on. Surprise, here we go. So there's our charts on page 103 of the player's handbook. But now let's go over and let's look in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So here's this table surprise dice difference. 1, 2, 3, 1 to 2, 3 to 2, 3 to 1, 4 to 2, 4 to 1, 5 to 2, etc. And it's the same here. And then the exemplar table shown below so we look at the player's handbook. It says parties die 3 to 6, monsters die 5 or 6, surprise effect is none. In the Dungeon Master's Guide, 3 to 6, 3 to 6 is none. And it shows both surprise for 1 or 2 in the player's handbook. Or monsters die 5 or 6 equals the party is surprised. And here it says 1 or 2 or 3 to 6, party surprised. Parties die 3 to 6, monsters die 1 to 4, monster surprised, Dungeon Master's Guide, 3 to 6, 1 or 2, monster surprised. And then we have parties die 1, monsters die 2, party surprised. And here it's parties die 1, monsters die 2 to 4, monster surprised. And then parties die 2, monsters die 1, party surprised. This is the right chart to use right here on page 62 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. That is the correct chart you should be using. Yes, there is a printing error in the PHP that was never addressed. But again, it is vitally different. It is vitally important, though, that you understand that the process of surprise is really, really simple, and it's really, really easy to use, guys. Don't let it do your head in. Don't let it do your head in. I mean, right now, let's roll surprise. Party's walking down the hall. Monsters are coming around the corner. Monsters are arguing about whether or not meat is back on the menu, indicates that orcs, in fact, know what a restaurant is. Party is going along saying that the lyrics are the arguing with the bard. The bard knows that the lyrics are blinded by the light, wrapped up like a deuce, another runner in the night. The party is loudly insisting that it's wrapped up like a douche, and then the bard is saying that doesn't make any sense. So they are all really equal chance to be surprised. So we roll for the party, and we got a let's see, is that I really should put these things on, shouldn't I? But I got a 1. All right. And I got a 5 for the monsters. It seems that when the entire party started belting out what they thought were the correct lyrics for Manfred Mann's Blinded by the Light, and it is Manfred Mann, by the way, it's not Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. He covered it and made it more famous, but I digress. They were not paying attention. The monsters said, wait a minute. Don't those idiots know it's wrapped up like a deuce? Another runner in the night? And so when they step around the corner, that party is surprised for 4 segments. Unfortunately, the group of monsters is 4 kobolds with no darts or spears. However, 50 of their brethren are in the kobold feast hall. So what did they spend their 4 rounds of surprise doing? 4 segments of surprise, 4 segments of surprise. They turn and run. They turn and run. And how far do they get? Per round, a kobold's base movement is 12 inches, which means per segment it's 1.2 inches. Or 12 feet. The kobolds will move 48 feet, which is enough time for them to turn and bolt back down the corner, around the corner, and back up the hall, halfway to the feast hall, yelling at the top of their high-pitched, yippy voices, "These idiots chasing us think that it's wrapped up like a douche." The other 40 kobolds, who won't stand to hear Manfred Mann or Bruce Springsteen besmirched in that way, snatch up their spears, bows, scimitars, maces, battle axes, and make ready for this group of very badly informed adventurers who honestly just could have looked it up online. And now you guys understand how surprise works. Don't let a DM tell you that it's only a maximum of 3 segments. The difference between 1 and 6 is not 3 tops. Should you just cap it at 3? That's up to you. But total surprise is total surprise. Now let's rewind this. Let's say there's a very attentive halfling with a party who's like, guys, hey guys, do you hear that? Guys, there's kobolds arguing about whether or not orcs understand what a restaurant is because of that line in the Lord of the Rings films. They're like, wait, what? And they come around the corner. The party can't be surprised. Can the kobolds be surprised? Possibly. But probably not. Because guess what? Well, I mean, the kobolds weren't necessarily expecting it. But let's say that halfling only has a dex of 16. That only negates 1 segment. That only negates 1 segment of the surprise when it happens. Now, let's say the kobolds are sitting in niches. They're scratching down on bits of parchment, throwing notes back and forth that say, clearly, meats back on the menu, boys, indicates that orcs understand what a meal plan is, and therefore they understand restaurants. And then other kobolds are scratching down, no, that's stupid. It's just a phrase that Jackson translated from the Orcish. And then somebody else scratches down, Tolkien never wrote that. And then they're just throwing wads of paper back and forth, but they hear clank, 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 clank. Blinded by the light, and they're ready. because they see the party coming. They've got a link boy back there swinging his lantern on the end of a hooked pole. They're ready. Now only the party can be surprised. Now you roll a d6 for the party, and it's a 3. It's a 3. We consult the table, and we look at the surprise effect. Parties die 3 to 6. Surprise effect, none. The party, they saw a bit of paper fly over. They know something's up, so they're not surprised. Cheesewagon 1000 asks, out of all of the editions of D&D Credo, what makes AD&D 1E special? I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you asked that, Cheesewagon. Let me tell you something. What makes first edition AD&D special is that first edition AD&D is where the black magic is. First edition AD&D is Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. It's copied in bits and swaths and sections from older sources, sometimes imperfectly, but it melds together in a fusion that is undeniably great. It's the Dungeons and Dragons that brings us evil drow and their torture parlors and drug effects. It's the Dungeons and Dragons of devils and demons. It's the Dungeons and Dragons that's written in High Gygaxian. It's the Dungeons and Dragons that dares you to take a bite of the apple and see eternity. First edition AD&D is where the black magic lives and will forevermore. That is what makes first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons really special. None of the other editions capture that. They don't give you the building blocks for the great, gritty, Lankmarite streets adventures. Second edition was airbrush Stevie Nicks knockoffs and fantasy romance novels. Third edition was an accountant's wet dream. Fourth edition might as well have been sold by Hero Games as had anything to do with Dungeons and Dragons. And fifth edition, C-. I know you can do better. See me after class. And I hope that answers your question, Cheesewagon. I hope it answers your question. That is my sincere answer to the question. Long live AD&D, Sharky. Absolutely. And let me give some folks their innings, and I also want to say, Cheesewagon, if you bring all those elements in to your second edition game, if you're just like, look, I just like the way these rules work without tinkering around with surprise, but that's how I roll, no pun intended. And you make it work that way for you, awesome. Awesome, brother. But I'm talking about what I love about first edition AD&D. Does that help you, my brother? Does that help you? Or sister? I hope it does. What does it mean to me? Wow. Okay. So I think that's a good question, and I like that question. And you know what? I'm going to stick that question up on the screen, even though there's not even a super behind it, because it's a cool question. Cheese Wagon, first edition AD&D, to me, means a setting that has just enough tinker required with the rules. It's like a 71 Chevelle with a big block 405. You got to tinker with it. You got to go out there every so often. And sometimes, like, it doesn't start 3 times in a row. You get out, you open the hood, you don't see anything wrong. You wrap on stuff with the end of your socket wrench. You close the hood. You didn't do anything. You start it, and it turns over, and it just works. It's not perfect, and it doesn't try to be. But the next time the car does that, and you pop the hood and you get out, you tell your friends, I know just what to do here. And they're like, oh gosh, we're stuck out in the middle of nowhere. No, pop the hood, clink, clink, clink. Wham. Get in, and you drive. It is uniform. It is uniform. It has the best campaign setting, Greyhawk. To me, it means just endless adventure. It means learning to speak High Gygaxian. Gary told us that orcs were fecund, and we wanted to know what fecund meant. So we went looking for the dictionary. We're like, oh. Yes, Robert Phillips. That's a good question. Movement is increased. It goes from feet to yards. 10 yards underground. 10 feet underground of movement is 10 yards above ground, which is why a field on a battle suddenly becomes a very much larger affair. Cheese, you have 455 mil under a Riviera hood. Woo! That's with plenty of room for the jets to land on the top. But no, that's a great one. That's a great one. Now, Robert, you're saying something wrong, though. Area of effect is not increased above ground. Range of spells is. Area of effect is not. Area of effect is not. The fireball's radius does not get any bigger. The stinking cloud does not get any bigger. The range you can cast it does, which has more. I'll answer your question, Sharky, in just a second. Road March says Mopar or no car. Did you know that 90% of Mopar vehicles are still on the road today? Yeah. The other 10% made it home. Anyway, moving right along. The first adventure I bought, that's easy. Keep on the Borderlands. And I have waxed poetic about my love for Keep on the Borderlands. I am saying that Greymane, I'm saying that 1E is a star-bellied sneech and 2E is not a star-bellied sneech. That's right, Hypercam. That sucks, Wave. That sucks, man. Do you think you could get him back into it if you got him some books? Or do you even know the guy anymore? Yeah, Chevy truck, no love. No love. Ford trucks are where it's at. I got into watching the like Junkyard Digs and all those guys. I got into watching those guys. Hey, look, there's people who've been getting into 1E right now. No reason he couldn't try Wave. But my dude, Junkyard Diggs, went out in the woods with a friend of his. Like their first car revival was a farm truck that had been sitting for 32 years. Just sitting, sunk in the ground. And they absolutely got it running and drove it off. It was awesome. Osric's a good place to start. Graph Paper Architect, hello. You're running your first 1E on Friday. Comproggy, that's awesome. Okay, 3 words. 3 words, my friend. 3 words. I'm going to tell you. Kill the bastards. If you're sitting behind your screen and you're like, oh, what should I do? You know, they want to seduce the farmer's daughter. This guy thinks, you know, they can all use rings of invisibility to stealth up to the dragon. Kill the bastards. Kill the bastards. Kill the bastards. That's right, Graph Paper. That's I try to be the 1E evangelist. I try to carry that torch forward. Anyway, Cheese Wagon, thank you for your awesome questions. Anybody else? I mean, we're well into hour 2. I'm not doing 3 hours tonight. Not doing 3 hours tonight. Oh no, Road March, you're lying. I'm told that never happens. That we're awful gatekeepers, and Gary specifically built D&D to keep women and girls out of it. I know this because I was told this by smart people on the internet. Well, I think that's lovely, Comproggy. Wait, go snag your friend. Get some PDFs at the very least. Say, hey, dude, you know, you wanted to play 1E? Yeah, I remember. Ha! We're playing. Michael Connor, Hail Lobster, Unbreaded. Unbreaded! Michael Connor. Oh, no, Vaughn, no. Elsie and Heidi. Cindy, no. They didn't. Never. And I mean, Mary Gygax absolutely didn't organize and edit the monster manual. She most certainly didn't. Yep. I still see those from time to time, Thorburn. Wave, I think you should. I absolutely think you should. Only in the current day, Michael. Only in the current day. So 15 minutes, you guys got 15 minutes to ask me any AD&D-ish related stuff. Otherwise, I'm going to dip out of here. You only get as much Bill Sylvie as you ask for tonight, guys. Yeah, definitely. I saw one. I don't want to go into this, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But there's some dude out there who's like, hair and beard are dyed danger blue, who is nattering folks on Twitter and just like throwing blocks left, right, and center. Like, you know, like objectively, this is wrong. This is the thing with old D&D, and you're like, yeah, no, it's not really blocked. That's awesome, Graf. Thorburn, take it easy, be well. Do I agree with Gary that the thief is the best character class? No, not for me. It's not for me. I prefer the paladin. Clark, fluid movement in combat within a 10-foot space between you and your opponent. Favorite 1E monster is probably dragons. Favorite class to play as a paladin. Favorite class to DM fighters. If you didn't roll stats for a paladin, would your second choice be lawful good fighter? Yes. And I would play him as a guy who had desperately wanted to be a paladin, but will serve the church in whatever way God deems it appropriate. The quest to become one. I mean, if I don't have the stats, I suppose potentially, you know, you find a Libram and Iunt. Well, no, I think Librams and Tomes would be it. You know, if he was that close that he just needed a point here and a point there and a point somewhere else, hunting down Librams and Tomes so he could, and then starting as a 0-level paladin. What does an invisible stalker look like, Michael? They are dead obsidian black, and they are very roughly angled. They are humanoid, but they are roughly angled. And how do I know that? I've seen Gary's notes for Teeth of the Barkish Nor, where an invisible stalker can be seen. Matthew Sherman, be well. Pig nose, Lux. They're pig nose. Keep praying, Scrub. Go help some more people. Now, I've often thought it would be cute to run a half-orc fighter cleric who was raised up by, like, as an orphan by the Church of Heronius, and he really wanted to be a paladin. And they're like, well, Greymond, you can't be a paladin. But, okay, what if you did this? And he'd just be over the moon. He would just be over the moon. I can be a paladin. Heronius has blessed me. I will carry forth in the tradition of the god of battle. That I don't know, Compragi. I mean, it probably. That was always the question. Hypercam. What does a Gruli look like? I think somebody. So there used to be a newsletter you could subscribe to and get from Infocom that was originally called the New York Times. And they printed it up. It had a little faux letterhead and everything. They got sued by the New York Times, and the judge ruled in the New York Times' favor. I'll save my opinion about that for another time. Thank you, Graph Paper. Yes, I know, and 5e has a lot of other problems too, Road March. But people could submit all sorts of things to the News York Times, which later became known as Status Line, which referred to a fixed text block in all Infocom games that showed your score, how many moves, and the current time. And somebody sent in the only known photograph ever taken of a grue. And it's literally just this circle lined with sharp teeth, like a lamprey just going in and a tongue coming out. It was like only known and last ever photo taken of a grue. Stop poking me. Yeah, I remember that from the original Warcraft. Stop clicking me! So anyway, any more questions? Any more questions, guys? Any comments, criticisms, negative, nasty remarks? A black piece of construction paper. What do you want? Oh, gosh. Badgers and AD&D are bad news. A room Vorax are better. Throw a room. If you roll up a badger encounter, just make it an a room Vorax. If a dragon is polymorphed into a human and the bard makes their charisma check, did they make a dragonborn? No, they did not. So let's go over this. I know it was a silly question, but I'm going to give you a direct answer. Lawful goods do not deal in lies and deceit. To conceal their nature and then reveal it later would be to induce heartbreak to the lovelorn. They would say straight away and demonstrate their actual nature. And as far as I'm aware, chaotic dragons, chaotic good dragons, the copper, the brass, and the bronze. Actually, I think come to think on it, I think the bronze is lawful good also. So the copper and the brass dragon would they cannot polymorph themselves into human or human-like forms. Know much about the Orson Welles influence? I know that Orson Welles was interested in starring in the Dungeons and Dragons movie that Gary was writing back in the early 1980s. Miscellaneous project, chaotic good and lawful evil were always your favorite, your go-to one. That's very interesting. I don't know about that one, Wom. If you ask me what my favorite alignment was, I would say neutral good. It's the best good. It's the goodest good. You calm down with the rules, and you try to stop acting 12, even if you're having fun and trying to spread fun. Just be good to each other, for goodness sake. Neutral good is the best good. Gold dragons and silver dragons and bronze dragons can You know what? Let's see. But I do believe they can all polymorph themselves. Let's see. So dragons. Lawful good dragons are just not going to lie to somebody and break their heart like that. They'll offer them comfort somehow. But I mean, for a dragon, that would be like bestiality, from their perspective. So silver dragons. Silver dragons select mountain peaks, clouds, and other similar locales which to establish their abode. It is claimed that this dragon can be found in the home of the king of good dragons, as well as behind other winds as well. Much as a gold dragon, these creatures are able to polymorph themselves in order to appear as an animal or a human, typically a kindly old man or fair damsel if the latter. So there's your silver dragon. Your gold dragon. They're able to assume the form of humans or animals in the guise of humanity, for they can polymorph themselves without harm. It is in some other form that they are typically encountered. And finally, bronze dragons prefer to dwell in subterranean layers near substantial bodies of water, such as lakes or seas. Despite their love of wealth, bronze dragons are basically of beneficent nature. They often assume the form of some animal in order to observe the affairs of humans. And yes, humans are animals, but that's not really what they're bringing up. So maybe, possibly, bronze dragons, definitely silver and definitely gold. They're not going to lie to you. Copper dragons, no, they can't polymorph. And brass dragons, let's see. Nope. They are quite forward and officious, and they love to converse. They are selfish and tend towards neutrality because of this. And they are also chaotic good. Neither. Vaughn, neither. I have no problem with bards or monks. I don't. I have a problem with the fact that everybody who says, I'm going to play a bard, tee-hee, it means I'm going to have sex with everything in your game. Tee-hee-hee-hee-hee. I tell you, if somebody said, hey, would you please bring your DMing style to a 5e game, please, 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 pretty please, and they said, I'm going to make it worth your while, however they did it, the first player that showed up with the tee-hee-hee, I'm going to have sex with everyone bard, I would kill that character just without let or hindrance. Oh, don't I get 3 deaths? No, you don't. You sure don't. Oh, I'll roll up another one then. It's a gnomish bard. Tee-hee-hee-hee. A bolt out of heaven strikes you and obliterates you. No death saves. You getting the point here? Oh, we lost a sign. Anyway, that about does it for me this evening, guys. One more question. Who wants it? One more question. You got to ask now. You got seconds to go. But anyway, so we'll be back tomorrow, and that'll be the guys from Brave Alice, and that's going to be really, really awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. Thank you all for coming and hanging out tonight. Sorry we didn't get to play some Conflict. Where did I get the hat? It was a Christmas gift from my wife. Where's your owl bear? Well, you'll just have to wait a few seconds to find that out. Everybody, I love you all. Be good to each other. And do keep your eyes peeled for that owl bear. Good night. What do I think of trap-setting kobolds? They're deadly. Bye-bye. Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air.
Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.